I stood on my porch, arms crossed, as Patricia Reynolds, the HOA president, pounded on my gate like a woman unhinged. Behind her, a crowd of residents milled about, trapped and bewildered, their cars lined up in a futile queue. "You can't do this," she shrieked, her face flushed crimson. "You're strangling an entire community." Calmly, I replied, "This road's on my land. You shouldn't have tried to steal it." Her trembling fingers fumbled for her phone. "I'm calling 911. This is illegal." I leaned forward, a slow smile spreading. "Go ahead." Because this was legal, every inch of it. Shutting down their only road was just the beginning of a war that exposed a web of fraud, betrayal, and a secret that could have cost me everything. My name's Nathan Harper, a 43-year-old divorced dad with a college-age daughter, living on a 12-acre ranch I inherited from my uncle outside San Antonio, Texas. My family's held this land for a century, raising cattle, mending fences, and laying loved ones to rest. After my uncle's passing, I left Austin's tech scene to settle here, working remotely as a software developer and tending a small herd of goats for peace. But peace shattered when I met Patricia, the 55-year-old queen of the Oak Ridge HOA, a gated enclave of cookie-cutter mansions built 5 years ago across my property line. With her dyed blonde hair, ever-present diamond earrings, and a tongue sharp enough to cut glass, she ruled like a dictator in Chanel. The trouble started with Oak Ridge's sole access road, Crestwood Lane, which runs through my ranch. A temporary easement my uncle granted the developers expired with his death, but no one noticed until I did. I didn't mind at first. The road barely grazed my land. But Patricia changed that. It began with a letter, typed in a font screaming suburban tyranny. "Dear Mr. Harper, your unsightly structures and derelict equipment lower our property values. Remove them within 14 days, or we'll report you to the county." She meant my 80-year-old barn. I ignored it, chuckling. A week later, a deputy arrived, apologetic but obligated to investigate Patricia's complaint. It went nowhere, but her audacity sparked my vigilance. 2 months later, the county clerk notified me of a rezoning request to seize part of my land for community infrastructure filed by Patricia. Furious, I hired Laura Bennett, a razor-sharp land use attorney. She reviewed my deed and the expired easement, grinning. "Nathan, you could block that road today. They have no right to it." I held off, sending the HOA a polite offer for a new easement with a modest annual fee. Patricia's response? She stood at the neighborhood gate with a megaphone, accusing me of extortion and branding me a community threat. That's when I drew the line. I issued a 30-day notice. After that, the road was mine. They ignored it, betting I wouldn't act. They bet wrong. At 6 a.m. on a Friday, I hired a crew to drop concrete barriers across Crestwood Lane. In hours, Oak Ridge was cut off. Patricia arrived in a lavender tracksuit, screaming until her voice broke. Residents panicked, shouting about work and school. "This is my land," I told her coolly. "You tried to take it." She dialed 911, and I waited, unfazed. Sirens wailed as deputies rolled up. Deputy Martinez, looking exhausted, took my notice and deed. "Looks legit," he told Patricia. "The easement's expired." She sputtered, "This road's ours by use." Martinez shook his head. "That's not how it works, ma'am." Pointing to a gravel back road, he added, "There's another exit. No one's trapped." A resident laughed. "It's fine if you don't drive like a maniac." Patricia's glare could have melted steel. "You'll regret this," she hissed at me. I didn't flinch. "You started it." That night, headlights swept my barn. My cameras caught a dark SUV and 2 figures trying to shift the barriers unsuccessfully. I sent the footage to Laura, who warned, "Patricia won't stop. She'll go covert." 3 days later, the county zoning board notified me of an emergency request to seize my land for public access, anonymous, but Patricia's fingerprints were all over it. At the zoning office, a board member admitted, "There's pressure. Eminent domain's on the table." Laura scoffed, "They're bullying you with legal threats." That night, I found tire tracks in my goat pasture, my fence cut. 1 goat limped. Footage showed the same SUV. I hired ex-military security, posted "No trespassing" signs, and added cameras. The public hearing was a circus town hall packed with residents, reporters, and Patricia in a crimson blazer, radiating smugness. The board cited public safety for seizure. I countered, "This is about control." I offered a deal. They refused. Murmurs grew. Patricia played the victim. "He's endangering families." What about ambulances? A resident snapped. You ignored his offer. The board recessed, returning with a ruling. No seizure, but a 10-day appeal window. Laura whispered, they'll dig. They did. A certified letter claimed my deed was forged, alleging I didn't own the road's land. My blood boiled. Laura rallied, pulling my uncle's will and a 1998 survey proving my ownership. But Patricia escalated, hiring a PR firm to paint me as a greedy recluse blocking kids' safety. Local news ran her sob story. Ranchers fake claim traps families. Someone spray-painted HOA rights on my fence. My internet was cut via a forged disconnect request. Then, cracks appeared. Residents like Ellen, a retiree, called. Not everyone backs Patricia. She's a tyrant. Young couple Matt and Lisa apologized at my gate. The night before court, my barn was trashed, feed spilled, grain slashed, a message scrawled. Open the road, or else. I sat on my porch with my grandfather's rifle, not to shoot, but to signal I was watching. In court, Laura presented my ironclad deed and survey. Patricia's lawyer faltered, citing historical use. Judge Callahan, stern but fair, ruled, Mr. Harper owns the land. HOA claims dismissed. Further challenges without evidence are harassment. Patricia stormed out, pale. As we left, a breathless man shoved a folder into my hands. Patricia's hiding something big, he said, vanishing. Inside were emails and photos. Patricia had secretly negotiated to sell HOA green space to Horizon Developments, using a fake LLC, claiming ownership she didn't have. Laura's eyes widened. This is fraud, wire fraud, fiduciary breach. The whistleblower's evidence was gold, verified emails, a sham LLC, and a meeting set with Horizon post-hearing. Laura devised a plan, go public, but strategically. I hosted a ranch barbecue, inviting Oak Ridge via flyers Matt distributed. Families came, curious. Over burgers, I shared the emails, LLC papers, and Horizon's deal. Silence fell, then outrage. Ellen gasped. She raised our dues for that protected green space. Matt found HOA expense records showing payments to Reynolds Holdings Patricia's shell. The community fractured. Patricia retaliated with a restraining order, alleging I harassed her. In court, 40 residents backed me with the evidence. The judge tossed her claim. Patricia screamed, he's ruining everything. Judge Callahan snapped, you lost. Calm down. A county investigator trailed her out. Horizon filed a claim on the back road, aiming to landlock Oak Ridge if I didn't yield. Laura suspected Patricia orchestrated it to force her deal. I filed an emergency order to block both roads pending investigation, approved days later. Fences and cameras sealed the gravel path. Residents, surprisingly, thanked me for the breather. Horizon's rep, Victor Crane, confronted me at my gate, slick and smug. We invested based on Mrs. Reynolds' agreement. She lied, I said. Sue the HOA. He smirked, we will. Patricia was found in Arizona at a retreat, arrested after a news story tipped authorities. Charged with fraud and conspiracy, her empire crumbled. I gifted Oak Ridge a new 30-year easement, fair terms, no development. They celebrated with a community picnic. But a letter arrived, and signed, from Victor. This isn't over. Peace holds, but I wonder who's fought a bully like this?